Denny's gonna be so excited to see you. He'll probably piss himself. Don't worry. I'm not. He wasn't trying to be short with Coach. Cash. Call him Cash. He's your friend now, not your boss. It was weird, though, changing that up after 3 years of working for Cash as his junior coach. Those days were over anyway, one way or another. Cash and his girlfriend had moved back to Massachusetts over the summer, one of those goodbyes that had felt to Rafi like getting his legs cut out from under him. When Cash had hugged him next to the U-Haul, he and Steph were driving back east, promising to fly back to Chicago to drive him out to college. Rafi had shrugged as if he didn't care one way or the other, which was a total lie. For once, he hadn't even worried about pissing off his sisters, because none of them had ever gone away to school. Rafi and his sisters had all taken classes at the city colleges, but that didn't count when it came down to figuring out how to navigate a foreign land like Carlisle College. Having Cash with him for his arrival on campus, knowing he could count on his ex-boss not to steer him wrong while not embarrassing Rafi either for being ignorant, was keeping him from puking on the floor mats. The one thing Rafi was not open to was leaning like a man who needed a crutch on the only other person he knew at Carlisle. Not knowing what he was doing sucked monkey balls. Back in Chicago, he'd been the one who knew his shit. For the first year Coach Carmichael had been assigned to Asher Elementary, Rafi had known more about how the program operated than the rich white boy from Boston, having transitioned into the junior coach role as soon as he'd aged out of the program as a player. He'd been comfortable there, a hard worker and star graduate, now employee of the program. Heading off to Carlisle was taking him so far out of his comfort zone he wouldn't even see it anymore. "Oh, I love this song." Coach Cash thumbed the steering wheel volume button up until a Taylor Swift hit blasted out of the speakers at max volume. "Haters gonna hate. Sing it, dude." He was singing and bouncing in the driver's seat, rolling his shoulders and trying to circle his hips, because Coach could get down pretty damn good on the dance floor for a white boy. No way. But he was smiling as Cash yodeled along with the chorus in a surprisingly rich voice, because that was what his boss did. Threw himself with enthusiasm into the moment, bleeding off some of people's stress by giving them the chance to laugh at him. It was a gift, and Rafi tried to accept it, but couldn't stop the tap-tap-tapping of his foot against the floor mat. Even the landscape outside the car windows pulled his gaze and tightened his stomach. Everything had been Midwest prairie normal for the first interminable hours of the drive from Chicago to western Massachusetts. But now that they were almost at the school, he couldn't get over how different things looked from the city. Mountains. Shit. He thought his mutter was quiet enough, but a playful shove to his shoulder made it clear Cash could hear him. "You call these mountains? These are barely hills, my friend. We'll get you up to Vermont to my aunt and uncle's place, and you'll see some, well, sort of mountains." Sort of mountains? He ignored the part about visiting relatives. Jesus Christ, like he wasn't sick to his stomach already with nerves. Visiting some rich white people, even if they were related to Cash, was not on his list of shit he was dying to do. Cash shrugged and eased off the gas as he merged smoothly into the traffic whirling around one of those insane circle things, the rotaries. Rafi had no idea how everyone didn't end up in one giant wreck, but Cash swiveled his head right and left like it was on ball bearings and slid through the traffic without flinching. Rafi flinched for him. "Well, yeah, it's no Colorado or Washington," Cash said, and Rafi struggled to remember what they were talking about, fingers wrapped so tight around the door handle his knuckles hurt. Mountains, right. Worrying about burning up in a fiery crash before he ever got to what he was calling sleepaway camp in his mind, because that sounded less intimidating than Carlisle College, made it hard to think about anything else.